timing. And for today we have more work on the GlucoMen areo that I started yesterday, which turned out to be fairly simple to reverse engineer, but also ended up figuring out a few things that are lacking in glucometerutils. But before we get straight into that, I want to just give a couple of minutes for people to show up, and I wanted to say that this weekend I'm going to be streaming quite a bit longer, and I'm planning on doing it as more rambly, given that there is no structure anyway in what I stream, but more rambly, more fitting things through and just randomly showing what's going on, and take questions in chat and talk about whatever comes to people's mind as questions and everything. So if you're interested in a more interactive discussion, or you have questions of anything that I've spoken about on my blog, on Twitter, anything at all that may have been interesting in the past, please do join me. I'll be here for a few hours, both on Saturday and Sunday, starting for 4:30 on Saturday, 4 p.m. on Sunday. And after this, well, Phil says everything is connected. Sorry, I've been having some hardware issues today with my monitor disconnecting a couple of times, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with that one. But it seems like everything is fine for now. As a reminder, this is the last weekday stream, and after this week I will resume the not quite scheduled programming of streaming when I do have some time and I want to work on something. Although I may or may not try to make this more regular, because regularity helps, and I seem to be able to actually get some of my open source work done. It helps that since I'm streaming, I don't want to just go and randomly take a look at everything else around me. I don't get distracted by home and house related issues. I think I need to raise the volume a little bit on the microphone, so just in case, bear with me. I don't get distracted by a bunch of other things that I need to do. I don't get distracted by my browser because I don't actually go and look at other things. I don't get distracted by YouTube or anything like that because it's not playing. So hopefully I'll be able to do a little more of this and get more of my open source projects going over time. But for now, this is the last weekday stream. As I say, more stuff coming this weekend, and this is all in favor of cats protection. So please donate if you haven't donated yet. Thank you very much for the people who have donated already. Up until tomorrow, we'll have the target of reaching 1,000 pounds, and if we do, I'll start streaming from Linux and blog about all of the issues I'll find with this. If that doesn't happen, it's still going to be streaming from the game station, which is much easier, but you get a little less runs on the blog. Up to you folks, if you want to join for me to hear, or if you want to hear more of my runs, you can join me with that one. I'll also definitely work on more home assistant stuff over the weekend, because yeah, there are a few things that I want to tackle and handle, but today I want to finish with the GlucoMen areo, among other things, because we are nearly there. Turned out to be a very easy device, to a point. Before I get to that, once again, I wanted to start with one more thing though, remembering who cats protection are, but also I wanted to give a shout out to Kelly at SoSplash, who does awesome art and has actually created a new avatar for my wife, who's birthday is today. Thank you very much, Kelly, for the art, and happy birthday, honey. Just wanted to make sure that this was the surprise I prepared for everybody for today. You can see that my wife has actually been helping me with a bunch of the open source projects that I have over here, which is why I'm doing some of these live as well. So helps everybody. Back on coding time. Off camera, today, while preparing for the stream and to figure out what I need to do with the GlucoMen, I have checked the cable for the SD code free. The SD code free, as I said last time, yesterday, is a different glucometer from another Korean, I want to say, manufacturer, but used exactly the same plug design and even exactly the same USB to serial adapter chip. Admittedly, it's a very common chip. And so it's physically compatible as well as software or driver compatible with the GlucoMen areo, except it doesn't work. The two cables are wired opposite, so let me set this side by side so you can see what I mean. In the GlucoMen areo, the tip goes host to device. On the code-free, the tip goes device to host. That means you cannot use one cable for the other. It also means that I need to make sure I actually mark which cable is for what. So I'll do that later. And I'm honestly considering getting to the point of having an easily switchable USB to serial adapter with a jack connection, so I can just plug different cables in and not bother with any of this. I may design that over the weekend, who knows. I do have a bunch of these USB to serial adapters anyway, but I designed to use with Sally, and getting them printed at JLC PCB is not that expensive. They come down to, actually I don't remember what they came down to. Let me check out of curiosity. I haven't ordered anything from JLC in a while, and as Big Clive will say, not a sponsor, I just like working with them. They have fair price for the stuff that got printed, and like they are particularly handy when you don't have huge prints, you just have a little bit of stuff. You're a hobbyist. Also, they deal with imports for you, unlike for LCSC, which is their component supply, but doesn't seem to do the what you call it, the delivery duty paid, which is slightly annoying. Yeah, so the USB to serial adapter, but it includes the CP2102, not the RS232, but the one that just has a pin out. That one came down to be £3 for 5 pieces of device, and I think this is the assembly, and then another £5 per piece. So it's like, yeah, less than £7 per adapter. Yes, you can find much cheaper adapters out there if you want, but it's not that expensive. So if you need the custom serial adapter because you have a bunch of things that are all kind of the same and you want to have a little bit more, it's okay. It's feasible to do. Similarly, the RS232 adapter, the one I sent to Foon, that one was, yeah, about £6 for the assembly, plus those 50 cents, whatever, for the board itself. So yeah, they're very cheap. They are fairly easy to set up, even for surface mount device. The CP2104 is a very, very, very easy chip to work with. So yeah, I may end up doing that. Anyway, back to this thing. So we know that and I'm sorry, the NUC will start now. We know that the code-free and the GlucoMen areo have opposite cables. So let me actually go and mark that on the code-free, like replace what TXT and RXT nodes with device to host and host to device, otherwise it's very complicated. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one as well. So to do this, state changes, yes. There we go. This one will solve one problem. Not all the problems, but one problem. I'm not adding the rest of the documentation for this one because this one actually has quite a bit of things that are different. So let's set that aside. I did add, again, outside of, like, off camera, I did add some documentation for this, like the GlucoMen areo driver will require PySerial. It doesn't require any special version of PySerial, unlike some of the others. It doesn't support VNFC. And again, this thing should probably eventually be extended, but for now, this will do. So let's close this one for a moment. This is the driver for the code free. I will just check it out. Let's go back to the driver of the GlucoMen areo. So yesterday, do I need to connect it? I do need to connect it. Where is the right key? So yesterday, as I was saying, we got the info working. There we go, version info f.05e, whatever that means, I don't know, but at least it says that it doesn't quite know the native unit, it's milligram per deciliter, but we do know the serial number, so those are useful. For those who wonder, by the way, on why I wanted to add the serial number there, knowing the serial number that the device connected responds to allows you to have an easier way to dump data, because you can dump the data connected to that serial number, and then if you have different patients with different meters with different serial numbers, you can get the data for a given patient based on that serial number. Now, glucometerutils is not designed to be used for medical purposes. It's not designed to be used by a medical professional. It's not designed to be used to take clinical decisions. That's part of the reasons of why I don't want to add graphs and all kind of things like that, because those things comes too close to clinical, and I cannot take responsibility for that. I just cannot. I'm not a medical professional. I have a vague understanding of how all of this fits together. That's essentially the extent of it. But I do want to allow people to build on top of this if they have the knowledge or they have the certainty of it. That's why I release all of these with the most liberal license I have at hand. I do my best to make sure that the documentation is there for everybody to read. Anything I reverse engineer, I document, so that if somebody wants to implement this, even in a closed source software, I don't particularly mind. If somebody can write a closed source software that makes life of people with diabetes better, they still have all my esteem. This is not a problem with the licensing. This is a problem with giving people access to their data. Anyway, let's not move on to that side for now. So we have the meter info, we know the serial number, we know we don't know the native unit, unfortunately. That's a bit of a mess, but we'll set to that. And we need to set the date time. As I said last time, I think there is a checksum. So let me... The problem with checksums... I don't remember my checksum. Oh, well, this is the new one. Let's see this one. So, first data less, and first this is the part where we have like this A6 here and this 84 here are most likely the checksums. So let's go to browsing for a moment. This is a random website I just found. I can't remember my old one. I had one that I used to use for a long while, but it allows to put some numbers in and get a bunch of different CRCs out and stuff. Now, this only has CRC, which, we'll see. Wrong hex string. 8 hex string. Oh, yeah, hex. So this says it should be like the one I'm putting in. I expect A6, and instead I see 46 here. Lammer beat, something like that. Yes. I don't like this one that much. Yeah, this one, Lammer beats X, and let's copy this same thing. This one does the CRC. This one has a 1-byte checksum, which is more interesting because it just like sum everything together and then go to 1 byte. Also has, well, this is not going to be one of the CRCs, but let's see. It's 250 for, and that's A6, so it's not 250. So it's not but one either. But it may be, let's see, it may be calculating it on 0D0A. Bit goes down to 17, which is also not what we want. And if we do 0D0A, it's FA, which is also not right. But on the other hand, let's remember for a moment, this one is the one that said failed. So let's see the other one, which is this. This one passed and said 84, so this one is wrong still. If you do it this way, this should be 55, so that's also wrong. There are not that many options for this 245, yeah, it's not going to be that either. And 12. So usually these are just one out of a simple set of possible checksums, and usually it is per line, unless this has nothing to do with that. So we can go and check if we can write it anyway, and maybe it will accept it, and maybe it won't. So for this to work, we need to build a complex. Like this time, it's not just a command. We actually want to send a command, situ_a1, followed by a string, followed by new line, and the closure of a new line as well. So those square brackets. Well, let's start. So first of all, it's going to be cmd set date time is going to be bx situ_a1, and then this is going to be so. Oh, this is going to be, this time it's going to be 1 byte command back. So we cannot actually return the read response here. So get meter info. Now we cannot keep the send command to return the result because it may be sending something completely different. So start command cannot call the read response because the read response can be either text or byte response. So this becomes read text response. And that actually needs to be send command returns none. And then this thing is send command and getting for response is this becomes it this way. It does the iterator and that's fine. Read. Oh no, we don't need the read binary response because it's just going to read the 1 byte. That's the only command we know that needs the binary response. Sorry, folks. Okay, so at glucose unit we say this GDL because we don't know which one it is. Set device state time. So the build command is going to be command set date time, yes, plus, and here we need to build the date and time. It's going to be another new line. And then I'll just call it FF for now. And then close. And then new line. Now datetime str is going to be datetime str is date.strf time. And it gets here into, and yes, I need to always look it up because I never remember it. Not here with Century, here without Century, yes. Zero padded, most likely. Then month. And then day. And then hour. And then minute. It doesn't start with second unless the A6 is maybe milliseconds. We'll see. Code ASCII. Well, no, actually, to be here. So self dot send command self dot serial dot read one because we want 1 byte out. If we get anything else, I don't know, we'll raise exceptions, invalid response, response. Okay. time set. Unexpected response empty. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try again. Valid response empty. Did we actually get a response? Did we actually send this correctly? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is set with the wrong analyzers because, as we said, this one is 9200 with odd parity, and this one too. Error. And the 200 odd parity. That's no standard. Yeah, okay. So this gives us a little bit more. Yeah, let's see. XH2 is the get information, and yeah, I didn't like it. And I assume the answer is this 6666. Well, let's see if that is the case. I'm going to change this one to A6. And I'm going to set the date time to 2021 0325 1354. Oh, I don't have the util installed. Valid response received. Nothing. Did I send something wrong? Well, let's try hyper positive and what log level? I forgot what the log level is. I need to go and check it. To vlog. Not this one. Oh, I didn't save. Maybe that's the problem. Let me. This one. Oh. Yeah, we don't get the response when I send this C207. What? C207? Oh, I forgot an X. That's probably the case. Unexpected response F. So it failed to set the thing, which is kind of expected, right? Still, unexpected response F. So at least now it's taking it, but it still is failing. Now I'm curious for one thing, because this thing has this C2A1, whereas getInfo is A2. I do wonder what happens if I send A2. So I'm going to try that. Nothing may happen, something may happen. Okay, so this is me sending, but did I send the same H2 that I sent before? Did I do something silly? I did do something silly. I just sent H2. I wanted to send A1, which most of the glucometers end up having a little bit of symmetry between setting and returning stuff, which means that usually the command to set the date is very similar to the command to query the date. No, I didn't actually read anything from A1. That's the other thing that I can do to try to find what might or might not work, since most of these query commands are essentially just a single byte. I can go through each byte. Let's actually do that. Why not? I may break it. Hopefully I don't. 4, 5 in range 0 to 55. Set that to send command. It's iterable int. Time to sleep 2. So that's going to take 2 seconds, 255. It's going to take about 10 minutes to run through all of these, but we can look at them as we do. This needs to be removed afterwards. Let me start play on this thing, so it's not, oh, no, sorry. I need, before I start play on this thing, I need to actually tell it to log for long enough. If we're doing 255 for 2 seconds each, let's do 900 seconds, and then I'll stop it when it's done. Stop. Did it send anything? Or did the other out even sooner? Cool. So that's interesting. When I sent A1, it didn't just error out. And indeed, sending 0 gets stuck. So I cannot just randomly try everything. Okay. That's not going to work. Because I will have to reset it all the time, and I don't really have a way to disconnect so that it doesn't feel. I wonder, does it actually have a mechanical? Yeah, it has a mechanical switch for this, which is annoying. If you've never looked at this kind of devices, let's take a tangent because I have the time. And also, there doesn't seem to be anybody here. At least nobody seems to be saying anything in the chat. Please, folks, if you're here, let yourself be known. This is most likely free context for position jack. Let's check. Went to CPC Farnell simply because it was the easiest one to have at hand. Like, it's Farnell, like people know it. These are the actually leads. I don't want the leads. Okay. Never mind. TRS check. I want CPC. Give me DigiKey. So audio connectors. These are your usual TRS jacks on the device side. If you look at what you have here on connector type, phone jack, microphone plug, and so on and so forth, that's not the important part. Just like for female, and then you go 3 conductors TRS. You see there is also 4 conductor TRS. I don't know why. Just let's accept TRS. If you go down to more filters, there is this does not contain switch. It also has 2 conductors, 2 contacts, 2 conductors, 3 contact. This is a 3 conductor, so let's select the 3 for free conductor, 3 and 4 contacts, and apply filter. This gives you a bunch of options. By the way, none of this is the one I have over here. The one I have is a TRRS, so it's a 4 conductor, and that's because very few devices anymore use the TRRS, but I have had a couple that use that. It was a big thing for devices that interfaced with phones without using Bluetooth, but of course, when Apple killed the phone jack, all of these got killed. So if you look at this one is 3 conductors, 3 contact, and this one is 3 conductors, 4 contacts. Otherwise, they look pretty much the same. They even have a pretty much identical code. But the difference is on this thing over here. Most likely, actually, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is the case. What these have, it has an understanding audio jack. I mean, this may have something interesting. Yeah, normally closed tip switch. The tip switch is the thing that tells you whether something is plugged in. When you plug in something on a device like this one, this is intended to be the channel you plug the jack in, and becomes the sleeve. This becomes the ring, and this becomes the tip. By default, this is normally closed, so if you put ground or +5 or something on this one, you'll get the same on the tip. When you actually do insert something, this connection gets broken. This is similar, it has separate switches for tip, ring 1 and ring 2, and it is a 4 conductor. That's a jack, and you can see here the TRS. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And yes, the order is a bit strange when you look at it. There you go, actually. This guide is actually fairly decent the way it is. And yes, you can see here what happens, like that's a sleeve, that's a ring, that opens, and that you can detect that you plugged in something. It's not electrical. This is purely mechanical connection there. Like the electrical part is on the how you detect it, but the thing that tells you whether it is connected or not is purely mechanical. And that's what happens on this GlucoMen here. It's not checking whether I plugged in a computer. It goes into PC the moment when I plug in the plug. That means I cannot reset it in software because I cannot just send a, oh, sorry, I messed up, can you reset yourself? I need to unplug it and replug it. That makes it annoying. Anyway, back to this thing. We cannot try all of them because I cannot reset all of them. So I'm going to try instead to send a couple more commands and see if I can find one that may actually work. Because that was C2 A1 to set. What happens if I just set C2 A2 instead of C2 A1? So for that I need to plug this back in. Oh, I didn't actually record it, so let me redo it. Ah, there you go. That's our C2H2. It actually sent something. Is it going to be the same exact thing that I saw earlier or not? So 5B, we know it is the open square bracket. And then is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2C, 3, 5. Is that the same what we had before? Let's see. 2C, 3, 5, yeah. 3, 8. Okay, so C2 is not a prefix that help us in this one because it ignores this C2, it just takes the A2. Which is interesting. That suggests that maybe there is an A3. Let's try A3 then. Let's start, save, send, stop. It didn't send anything. We'll get an info now. No, I don't get. But doesn't work. Okay, so it's not A3. That's going to be fun. This part is still not working. Let's bring back this to FF and let's try to figure out what the checksum might be. So let's get back to coding, normal coding. Probably want to do not the first data but first connection, because that one actually set the time. First data didn't. So it may be that the checksum was wrong. So the actual string we have on the datetime is this one. Datetime string is this. So if we do I have, how did I do that last time? Support. You don't know I've done this before, common? No. There is the checksum, which is often just all the bytes XOR together, one with the other. Is part of this one. I can't believe I actually have a normal GSM phone on my desk right now, and just this was a throwback to a simpler time, the time in which phones were actually annoying to have around. It's not this one, not this one. No, I don't think it is. Oh yeah, it is. No, this one does the CRC CCITT because it was a different one. That's not the one I want either. This is just a timestamp. Snapshot glucometers. And something. So one of these does zoring. So finding folder zor. Oh, there you go. The SD code 3 is the one with the zor. So it's import functools, import operator. That will be 11, which is very far from what we expect to be, which is 84. But what if we are actually doing C2 A1 5P, do it this way. That's 19, so that doesn't help. And what if we do it with this 2? 112. Yeah, we're getting there. 20. No, that doesn't help. It's 44. 33. It's not bad. Oh, I'm silly. I'm doing the exact wrong thing here. Because I meant to do plus datetime extra. That gives us 87, that thing was 0x84. So still not what we want. but I forgot 0x. What was it? C2A1. No. That gives me 12. So it's not that. Let's try operator sum. I need to use sum, not operator sum. And int object is not iterable. Because it's operator add. Of course it is. Okay, this funny enough gives me the same as Zor. This is too much still. We wanted the version on this one. So this is operator add. True. Still too much. That thing is going to be annoying because that means I need to go and try a lot of different options for the checksum and see which subset of those translates to that particular checksum. And this is without me actually knowing. Well, let's try a few more options. So if I bring this back to A6, and I set to the time I know already, I get an F. Okay, so vlog 5 is C2A1 5B, new line 2103. Oh, because I'm using the one that failed, so let me just use the one that passed. That might be the problem. Let's see, 03, 03, 2028. Yeah, this one passed. Now, if I were to change this to 2029, it fails. What happens if I change this to 85? Because now the count is different. Still failed. So it's not a simple sum. Not a simple sum, because otherwise moving one number forward will also change the checksum forward. And that didn't happen to be the case, so that doesn't help. Okay, let's set this aside. This one still doesn't work, so let me mark it as to do find the right checksum. On the other hand, we know that we can get the data dump with the right command, so self.send command cmd get, not get info, get readings. Oh, if it's stuck, it seems to send h2, that should work. Okay, so maybe I will try again later to see if I can find something. So 80 should give me this. And I assume that this 20 here is going to be the checksum. And we'll check that again in a moment. So sub dot set retext response, and I also want to check that it is not that the first line isn't wrong, which like it isn't the thing is empty. So if response 0 is it is this thing over here 93D 90D return. And that's easy. That just says that like, we found not available readings, we'll just skip, we'll move on. Otherwise, the new line is here. I assume, as I said, this is going to be another checksum, so we will still have to figure out the checksum. It's going to be the same checksum for everything, most likely. Ooh, that's a 5e, that's a checksum. Okay, that is useful. I didn't realize that. But 5e over here, that I thought it was part of version info, this info here, it isn't, but the checksum. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Because essentially, when the line is this, we can't yield this anymore. This is no longer an iterator of bytes, it's going to be a sequence of bytes. And this is going to be a list of bytes. So one true. Still going to do this invalid response because we expect that each line returns with a new line. And what are we doing with this one? Not line, that's we expect this to signify the end of the stream. Fortunately, this is annoying because this is going to get stuck in a loop, so it may actually get broken. Now we can actually do something more interesting, which is if all lines 0 is not this, so this is going to be the check that it all started the same. And the checksum is in hex, so I need to bring it over from hex. So it's going to be What's the thing I need? Int ff a16. Yeah. So a checksum is going to be int all lines -2 because -1 is the empty line, the close bracket. Excluding the new line characters, base equal 16. To do verify checksum, and then this is going to return all lines line except the ending because we don't want to return those two new lines, or line in all lines. And from typing import list as well, I don't need it iterator anymore. Okay, so this should work. If I now ask for info on this glucometer, multiple lines return when one expected. What? Oh yeah, because I needed to exclude. So it's going from the first one because I'm excluding the open bracket to not the last one, but to two behind because we don't want the checksum either. Multiple line return when unexpected. No. Ah, yeah, because I'm expecting two now instead. It's only going to be one. And this part here is not going to be needed anymore because we know that one part is fine. But respond incomplete information. Oh, because now this is 5, of course. And this one is just info for string. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. This needs to still return a sequence. So very good. F.0 is the software version. We know this one. Now, this is interesting and important if we want to find the checksum, because this string doesn't change first, which is good and bad. But second, this one doesn't have any binary prefix, so it probably is just a sum of all the bytes or a checksum calculated on all the bytes. I'll get to that later. But for now, this means we are going to get there. Actually, just out of curiosity, let me see if the online CRC calculator can do this. So this is going to be annoying, so I'm going to do it this way. And we want not this one. This is the closed bracket. These are the new lines over here. These two is a checksum, so we want this part over here. Usually this is calculated right up until the checksum, but not before that, and not after that. This is the hex string. CRC, this is what I want, 5e. Is there anything? Oh yeah. Okay, so browsing. That's the string I just calculated. CRC8 maxim is 5e. So that's useful. Now let's do the same for the one below. I'm going to do the same calculation with him putting everything to a string and removing. And it's going to be that. If the maxim one returns a6, we are done. And it does not. It returned 31. What about this one? A6! Found it! CRC8 maxim. We found it. At the 1 hour mark. Now we know what the checksum of this is. It starts from the, let me go back to the code so you can see. It does not include these 2 bytes over here, which are the commands. So the checksum is only applied to the text side of the command. So it starts from this 5b here, which is the open square brackets, and goes all the way up until the checksum itself. So this part over here. Now the problem is, what the heck is the CRC8 maxim? And it seems to be something about CRC. There is something. Okay, let's browse. Despite of the packet is CRC8 maxim, polynomial calculator. It doesn't say much about what this is. If I look around, this seems to be one wire specific stuff, which is why it's using a bunch of things. One wire CRC. Oh, assembly language procedure. There you go. So now I just need to figure out if there is a implementation of this in Python that I can reuse, which has a compatible license. So let's look for that. Python. Somebody has something. Let's hope it's on a compatible license. This has no license. But CRC mod does have it. And let's see what the license. This is very CRC mod. CRC mod is MAT licensed also. It doesn't it's not really being updated because it supports only up to 3.1, which is very sad. It would have made my life so much easier. But does it actually work on 3.7? Pip insta pip 3 insta on a pip install. 3. Because if it does work, I may just as well use it. CRC mod predefined. That is a module, so what's it? And sorry folks, I guess we're out of time for the original plan. Yeah, this is a bit more complicated than I expected, but CRC8 maxim seems to just be a CRC8 with a custom polynomial, so I can probably just implement this. And then this one will work. I'll get back to this tomorrow, which is going to be the more question and answer stream, hopefully, more people involved. And otherwise, I should be good to go to implement this. Yay! See you tomorrow!